Nothing new. February is Scout Month. It has been. The Boy Scouts of America were founded in 1910, February, and incorporated. So our program is going to be on scouting. This award that I'm wearing is called the Cliff Dockerman Award. It is a Rotary Scouting Award. Cliff Dockerman was the international president of Rotary. He also was president of the University of Pacific and president of the Western Region. And this Rotary Award is named after him, and the colors, of course, are the Rotary colors of this Scouting Award. Our guest today is Al Westberg, who served as a professional scouter for over 37 years. He started his scouting career in June 1976 as a district executive in the Northern Lights Council, headquartered in Fargo, North Dakota. He served there in 3 different assignments in that council, and in January 1988, he was selected to serve as the field director of the Pikes Peak Council in Colorado Springs, Colorado. He held that position until 1990. Al then became scout executive in the Central Wyoming Council in Casper, Wyoming from January 1991 to March 1995. He then was selected to serve as the scout executive of the Pony Express Council in St. Joseph, Missouri from April 1995 to December 1999. From January 2000 to February 2002, Al served as the National Director of Council Services. And from March 2002 to January 2006, he served as the National Director of Cub Scouting. Al currently serves as the Western Region Area 3 Director, a position he assumed in February 2011. In that position, Al serves and supports 12 Boy Scout councils covering Northern California, or half of California and Nevada. He received a bachelor's degree in biology and chemistry from Concordia College in Moorhead, Minnesota. Al and his wife Diane have 2 daughters and 4 grandchildren. They currently reside in Pleasant Hill. Well, that's Al's professional resume, and now that took most of the time, I think, to read that. Al, you're on.
Well, thank you, Marty, for that introduction, and it almost sounds like a guy who can't keep a job. With all those different spots that have been throughout my professional career. I did some quick math as Marty was going through those different locations, and kind of happy to share with this group that of all those travels, I was a member of a Rotary Club in 7 of those different assignments. So I've been a Rotarian in seven different clubs throughout my lifetime so far. And those were all great years. But I got to tell you, this is a spunky club, especially at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's exciting to be here and to see the excitement that all of you have and the great fellowship that you have with one another. I would also say that I understand that the cook is Larry, but that oatmeal this morning, that's the best oatmeal I've ever had in my life. That's incredible stuff. Well, I got into town last night and rested well. I went out and walked the Lagoon Trail last night and rested well and got up this morning, turned on the news, and about the first thing I heard was about Cub Scouts in Southern California, and through something that probably wasn't the best thing to wake up to in the news, and kind of thinking this might be the perfect storm to be coming and talking to a group about the Boy Scouts of America, and in particular about what we do in trying to develop character traits in young people through scouting. But nonetheless, we're going to give it a run and see where we go. What I do want to share is Marty mentioned that I've been over 37 years an employee of the Boy Scouts of America. It almost wasn't that way. I resigned my employment with the Boy Scouts after a year and a half. And I did that simply because I really didn't understand truly what the mission or the movement of Boy Scouts of America was all about. I didn't have a great scouting career as a kid, and I've got, as Marty mentioned, I have a degree in biology and chemistry. I went to an interview my senior year of college for the Boy Scouts of America, thinking maybe it would be to work at summer camp for my first summer out of college. And I thought, kind of a cool way to spend my first summer out of college, just kind of kick back and camp. Had no idea of the professional world and the full concept of working for the Boy Scouts of America. But they rolled that out for me. I accepted the job, or they offered me the job, and I accepted it. And after about a year and a half, I was pretty frustrated. Basically, at the salary I was being paid and the number of hours that I was working. I was looking at what I was doing as a job and trying to put it together, trying to piece it together in hours and dollars being paid, and it just wasn't adding up, especially when you talk about it with your other college friends and what they're making and the number of hours they're putting in. And anybody else who's here in the not-for-profit world, I think you all understand what I'm talking about because it's a very, very different world. And if you don't get the concept of the mission of what you're doing in the lives of those that are participants in your movement or in your organization, if that doesn't resonate with you, it just doesn't make sense. The number of hours you put in compared to the number of dollars that you make. So I resigned and went to work in a couple other fields. I did some agricultural research. I managed a sporting goods store. All things that I thought would be my ideal careers. But about a year and a half into that, I realized it all made sense to me. It kept gnawing away at me as to, what you were doing made a difference. Made a difference in the lives of kids and their families. Much more so than what I was doing as running a sporting goods store and doing agricultural research. Not that those are bad career choices, but it wasn't right for me. So I came back into the professional scouting movement with a lot better attitude about it, and it's been a phenomenal career ever since. Now, be that, or knowing that, I think there's a lot of people that really don't understand what scouting really does. I think there's a lot of people that think it's a good organization, kids have fun in it, they camp, they do first aid, they help the little ladies across the street or whatever comes to mind when you think of scouting. But it's so much more than that. And that's what I wanted to share with you with some time this morning as to how that all works. And I'm going to try to make sure I'm true to my time with you, because as funky as you are, I know if I go past my time, it's not going to go over well. And I think it's also always good to be done early. So I'll do my best to do that for you. So in essence, I wanted to talk about, what really is the purpose of scouting, or what are the aims of scouting. And one of those is leadership, citizenship, fitness, and character. Character comes about, I'm going to devote my comments this morning to the fourth of those aims, and that's character. And really, how do we see ourselves in scouting as a movement impacting character in youth? Anybody know the rest of them?
Prettiest guy in the interim, turkey break, clean and rubber.
Good for you. How about a round of applause? The 12 points of the Scout Log. It's something that, some of the things in scouting just really stay with you for life. So in character, you know, it's an easy term to say, but we really find out that we really know that there are different forms of character. For example, there's moral character. You know, we know that kids have to make choices, and we want them to be able to make the right decisions throughout life. That's a part of the kind of character that we develop is moral character, helping them when they have tough decisions to be able to make the right decisions or decisions they can feel good about. We have civic character. Scouting youth understand and are told that they have a responsibility to be a part of their community, to do service in their community. You'll notice in the annual report that's on your tables from the Redwood Empire Council, for example, that there was over, I don't remember how many thousand hours of service that were provided by the Scouts in Redwood. I think it's 4,000 something. That's, you know, a responsibility that we try to instill in our youth, that it's important to give to your communities. It's important to be service-minded. We have performance character. You know, what does it take to be successful? What are the parts of a person's makeup that help them to be successful? There's curiosity, gratitude, zest. These aren't bear badges, by the way. I know they kind of look like that, but that's just the animation. Optimism, obviously, is there to help youth be successful. Self-control. You know, and all kids have these at different levels. I've got 2 daughters. One has self-control. The other has absolutely none. And you've probably got some of the same situations in your households with these kinds of things. Social intelligence. You have to know how to get along with one another and be comfortable in a group if they're going to be successful. And the one I really like, we labeled grit. And you probably know what grit's all about, kind of just by its term, but it's the ability to, I like to describe it as that scouting can be a laboratory, especially with my biology and chemistry background, that it allows kids to experiment in a safe environment without fear of what will happen if they fail. They're in small groups of friends. It allows them to, we put them in leadership situations. It allows them to try different leadership skills, different leadership traits. And if it doesn't work, so what? It doesn't work. But we help them develop those skills in a safe laboratory where they can try different things and figure out what does work for their particular style. And grit is their ability to stick to it. Think of the grit on a piece of sandpaper. Grit allows them to work through all of those opportunities. Okay, I need to learn where I turn my head to get that microphone working better. We have worked with Dr. Richard Lerner, who's from Tufts University, to try to do as good a job as we can of analyzing how we're doing at developing positive youth behavior in our youth. And Dr. Lerner has he's identified what he calls the 5 C's of positive youth development. Our council in Philadelphia, I know, did some extensive studies with Dr. Lerner in this regard. But those 5 C's of positive youth development are competence, confidence, connection, caring, being with caring adults, and again, character. And having development in all 5 of those areas, those 5 C's, according to Dr. Lerner and his team of researchers at Tufts University, those are the 5 key elements that will help youth succeed in life. If they can make improvements and develop their character with all 5 of those elements, they will have a much better chance to succeed or to have a successful life. And one of the things that really excites us in scouting is that Dr. Lerner has said of all the organizations he's looked at and that they have done research with, Boy Scouts of America does a total comprehensive program that embraces those 5 C's much more than any other organization he's seen or that he started to study. We have engaged with Tufts University now to do a long-term study of our program and our methods and how we actually do impact positive youth development. So it'll be very interesting in the future, I think, when we get the results of that research and are able to share with folks how solid our program is. Now the BSA uses different methods in order to achieve those purposes or achieve those aims. And I'll tell you, the methods are what most people think of when they think of scouting. The typical person, unless they've been a scout themselves or have a scout in their family, typically think that what our program is what our methods are that we use to achieve our aims. The control method. We put boys in smaller groups so they have an opportunity to develop their leadership and, again, to be able to have that ability to experiment within a small group, a safer group, a group of friends. We have the uniform, as our gentlemen at the back table are testifying to. And I know I'm going to be in trouble after this meeting because I'm not here in uniform today as they are. We have the advancement program. You know, the scouts go through all different types of advancements, from merit badges to rank advancements. And there are many people today that are in a profession, in a career today, that got their first interest in that career through the merit badge program of the Boy Scouts. Whether it's veterinary service or firefighting or you name it as a career, they got that initial interest through their involvement in scouting. Leadership development, again, we allow young kids to develop their leadership skills in their small groups. The outdoors is a big part of our program, and the ideals, or the scouting ideals. Now the ideals, we mean the Scout Oath and the Scout Law. And you heard the 12 points of the Scout Law earlier, and I appreciate that so much. So those are the way we reach out to youth, and in essence, some of that and the excitement of that is what really reaches out to kids. But where are we headed as an organization? How are we going to get to, how are we going to succeed? We're it's an organization that's 105 years old. And we've had certainly ups and downs in scouting throughout those years. And we certainly want to succeed. And how are we going to be able to do that? One of the things that we're trying to do is focusing on what I'll call experience-oriented scouting. And how do we get to that? We developed the BSA strategy map. This is a common tactic that you learn from Harvard Business School, is to develop a strategy map as to how you're going to achieve your outcomes. So as an organization, our outcomes that we talked about earlier are leadership, citizenship, fitness, and character. How are we going to achieve those outcomes as a national organization? The process is going to involve several different phases. We need to improve youth recruitment, and we need to improve youth retention. And to do that, we need to make sure that unit meetings are fun, relevant, and impactful. That's the experience-oriented scouting component of it. If kids are having a good time at scout meetings, they're going to keep coming, and it's going to have a greater impact on their lives. At any point in time, we're only 3 meetings away from losing any kid to the scouting program. 3 bad meetings away. If they come to a meeting or come to a series of meetings that are not fun, they're not going to come back. They'll vote with their feet. So we need to make sure that we're offering a quality program. We need to make sure that we've got enough of the right people. We have to have capable, passionate, and diverse unit-serving executives. That's staff, professional scouts. We also need to make sure that we have capable, engaged, and diverse district and council volunteers. And that those 2 entities help us find effective unit leaders and make sure that they're selected and trained, properly selected and trained. Well, I got to tell you, this is kind of going back years, but when I was a young professional scouter, the way we organized the scout unit, a Cub Scout pack or a Boy Scout troop, is we'd go into a school, lunchroom probably, and, or we'd hand out flyers at school and invite kids and their parents to come to a meeting at the school, and we'd go in and we'd send the kids off to the corner with some other scouts, and have the scouts keep them entertained, and then we'd look at the adults and say, okay, we're going to organize a Boy Scout troop here, who's going to be the leader? And you'd make that statement, and then you'd see people counting tiles in the ceiling or counting tiles on the floor. Nobody wanted to make eye contact. But you'd kind of stay there until somebody had enough guilt that they would say, I'll be the leader. And I got to tell you, that's wrong. You know, we've done that way too much, and that's the wrong way to organize a scout unit. We want to make sure we've got the right leaders. Leaders who can be effective in that role and can be great role models for these kids that are in that program. So we need to do a better job of that as an organization. And then our resources, of course, we need to have relevant, innovative program curriculum, something that excites the kids. Technology that delights. We're nowhere near that today, having technology that delights. We need to have financially strong Boy Scout councils, which we're getting much better at across the country. And that will develop a culture that focuses on providing life-changing experiences in kids. And if you follow the yellow parts of that diagram along, you'll see that the resources lead to the people, leading to the process, which will help us achieve those outcomes. Now that's a really busy slide, and especially something to present to a group in just a couple of minutes. But I want this group to understand that scouting is really more than uniforms and kids out camping and the things that typically are on the surface that you think about in scouting. I think we play a vital role in every community where we have scouting for those youth, and helping them to be the best that they can possibly be and grow up and be citizens that we're all proud of and participating citizens. It's important. It's important that we have scouting. And I just wanted to share that with you folks this morning. There is, at your place, there's a document that's we don't have the final version of that put together and processed yet. It's going to be handed out at the council's annual meeting this coming weekend. But I wanted you guys to have a copy so you can see, really kind of the great things that are happening in the local Boy Scout Council, which is here, which is called the Redwood Empire Council. It's headquartered in Santa Rosa, and it serves Sonoma and Mendocino counties. I think some of the just couple bits of data. In the Redwood Empire Council, there's 2,300 youth that were enrolled at the end of the year. That's youth that participated in a year-long program. Supported by 1,170 registered adults. That's adults who paid money to volunteer. And that's just incredible to me, that we have as many volunteers as we do in our organization, and that they pay to do that. We serve about, not quite 5% of the total market that's available, and we can do better than that. We're too important in the lives of kids not to do better than that. So we're going to try to do our best in increasing that position. In the United States in general, we serve 9% of the total market that's out there. That's a lot of kids, but that's pretty good. And worldwide, there are 33 million scouts in 220 different countries or territories, which is, again, a pretty impressive bit of data. So thank you so much for helping us celebrate the 105th anniversary of Scouting, and thank you for your attention this morning. I appreciate it very much. Absolutely.
Entertain that.
Absolutely. Yes?
Okay, 105 years ago, things were different. You didn't have video games. You didn't have the gang situation. You didn't have organized sports where so many organized games. It was more like pickup games and so forth. How do you contend with those or work with those situations?
That's part of the concept we're trying to deal with today. We're trying to let people know that we're really not just an organization that for kids to do things. Scouting is a movement. If you'll think of other movements you're aware of, the Civil Rights Movement, for example. I believe we are a movement. We have a common set of values, and we have a large group of people that agree with those values, and we try to instill them in youth. We're trying to let parents know that we can have an impact on kids' lives. We know that. And that if they have the choice, we should be one of the top choices that they make for getting their kids involved in, to help their kids have a better chance at a successful life. We aren't to be all and end all, but we work good with other organizations to help fill in spots where they don't necessarily reach to what the parents want from the kids. The other thing we're dealing with right now that I don't know if any of you are, but I don't see any, this is a dangerous statement to make, I don't see any millennials in this group. And there may be some there. If you are, I apologize for that. Millennials are the younger parents out there today.
That's all of us.
And it's okay, and I grossly apologize. But that's a tough nut to crack, this new generation. The millennials are very, very difficult to reach out to with any kind of an organization that asks them to join as a group. I've got a millennial daughter, and I've had countless conversations with her trying to figure her out. And she's helped me try to understand how we can better approach millennials as well. That's a tough one. Any other?
Yes. When looking at the chart, I'm a scout from Manhattan.
Okay.
We have a very different sort of view of things. When I looked at what was going on and what you're looking at in scouts, I saw, strangely, gang culture. It's the same thing. Belonging to a gang that provides these certain outlets that you have in them. Has there been any thought maybe to make outreach into the socioeconomic class that doesn't have a lot of money to spend, that doesn't have a lot of resources, for them to go out and have soccer and basketball and stuff as a foundation, just as it used to be in New York with the marching bands in the African American community. These kids would practice, the dance with flags and whatever. And that maybe that's an avenue to enter that nobody else is going. There's nothing to crack. But if you could get in a culture, let's say in Santa Rosa, which has activity, into a community where you can get the parents be loving their kids to do something other than traditional gangs. And, you know, to see, I don't know if that's something that's feasible.
It is. It is. It's a great and we call that Scout Reach. And we do have that going in Santa Rosa, and we do have it in several other Boy Scout houses across the country. The difficult end of it is the funding of it, because it does take some significant dollars when you provide even the part-time staff to work with it, because you typically don't have very solid leadership structure in that area. So a lot of times you have to hire people that will serve.
And the parents can't help fund the activity.
Right. So we do have those opportunities to reach out to that, and we call them scouting. But that's a great point.
Alan, thank you very much. We have a bottle of Pinot from polio. With each bottle, we make a donation to the ending polio now, over that goes.
Wonderful.
So, enjoy that wine. It's very nice Pinot as well.
I love Boleto Pinot. I have some at home, and I've participated.
Excellent. And if I could get you to do me a favor and draw one of these tickets, read the last four.
Okay. The last four numbers are 1686. Thank you.
Appreciate your talk. Do you feel lucky? Let me just be sure that we got a good card in there. Yeah, we do. All right, so it's not up my sleeve. Nope. So close. Okay, well, we do have this nice Boleto Zen from Wayne Britton. And we have a guest joke tonight from Nancy Wilson.
Yes, Joe?
Here in Poland.
Here, read that.
A father put his 3-year-old daughter to bed, told her a story, and listened to her prayers, which ended by saying, God bless Mommy, God bless Daddy, God bless Grandma, and goodbye, Grandpa. The father said, why did you say goodbye, Grandpa? The little girl said, I don't know, Daddy seemed like the right thing to say. The next day, Grandma died. The father thought it was a strange coincidence. A few months later, the father put the little girl to bed, listened to her prayers, that went, bless Mommy, God bless Daddy, and goodbye, Grandma. The next day, Grandma died. Holy crap, thought the father. His kid is in contact with the other side. Several weeks later, the little girl was going to bed, and the dad heard her say, God bless Mommy, goodbye, Daddy. He freaked. He practically went into shock. He couldn't sleep all night. He got up at the crack of dawn, went to the office. He was nervous as a cat all day, had lunch, and watched the clock. He figured if he could get by until midnight, he would be okay. He felt safe in the office, so instead of going home, at the end of the day, he stayed there drinking coffee, looking at his watch, and jumping at every sound. Finally, midnight arrived. He breathed a sigh of relief and went home. When he got home, his wife said, I've never seen you work so late. What's the matter? He said, well, I don't really want to talk about it. I just spent the worst day of my life. She said, you think that was bad? You'll never believe what happened to me. This morning, my golf pro dropped dead in the middle of my lesson.